All right, this is lesson 1.4 out of the Introduction to Algebra book. Lesson 1.4. And I'm going to do a little abbreviating here. The title is Order of Operations with Grouping Symbols. So I'm just going to write O of O, that's Order of Operations, with grouping symbols. Order of operations with grouping symbols. Now, I'm going to say this is the final step in learning how to work the order of operations. Although, when we work the order of operations, it is the first step in doing so. But before we get into that, warm-ups. And warm-ups will be making sure you know how to use your order of operations so far, with all the steps we've taught you so far. So you're going to be creating your PEMDAS triangles as you find the values of these expressions. Number 1, 7 plus 3 divided by 3. Oop, I said divided by there, didn't I? I meant plus 3. Okay, divided by 3. Minus 1. 7, add 3, divide by 3, and subtract 1. All right? All right, number 2 is 20 divided by 2 squared minus 1 to the 5th power times 1. All right? Now we need to skip some lines. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's skip 5 lines. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and write number 3 here, because you need some room to make your PEMDAS triangles to show your work there. Okay. All right. So number 3 is 40 divided by 2 cubed. 2 to the 3rd power times 5. And number 4 is compare 4 to the 1st power and 1 to the 4th power using greater than, less than, or equal. All right. All right. So we need to skip a few lines to make room for this. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4 should do. 1, 2, 3, and then our I can statement. All right. Get that up there. So what we are after in this lesson is I can find values of expressions with grouping symbols using the order of operations. And I'm just going to do this again. O of O. The order of operations. Okay? I can find values of expressions with grouping symbols using the order of operations. So, my dark green pencil, where'd it go? It seems to have disappeared on me. Oh, here it is. Okay. Dark green pencil. We're done with the warm-up part. Ready to go right into notes. All right. So, you have one little note sheet. You're going to glue right into the upper left corner here, and then we'll talk about it. This will complete the last of our order of operations steps. Come on. Oh, there we go. Tiny tadpoles. All right. Get that right here. All right. Get that in frame. There we go. All right. So highlight what we're talking about, order of operations, and then we will circle our steps here. All right, so the order of operations are as such. They're all here now. Step 1 is to find the value of any expressions within grouping symbols, such as parentheses and fraction bars. And I'm going to take my red pencil and underline parentheses and fraction bars. Now, most of you wouldn't find any difficulty in understanding that parentheses would be a grouping symbol. Later, when things get more complicated, probably not this year, probably more when you get to 7th grade, you'll see brackets are also a grouping symbol. It's kind of like putting parentheses within parentheses. But a fraction bar is also a grouping symbol. And in this lesson, you'll see how that is. Step 2, find the value of all powers. We've been learning that in the last 2 lessons. Step 3 then is to multiply and divide left to right. And the final step is to add and subtract left to right. Okay? All right, so talking about grouping symbols real quick, we're going to write a note over to the side here. All right, so grouping symbols. In this lesson, they'll look 2 different ways. Grouping symbols. All right, okay, so here's an example. I have 5. Oh, come on, pen. Here we go. 5 times 3 plus 4 minus 8. And if I have parentheses around the 3 and the 4, like that, those are a grouping symbol that tell me the very first step in solving this expression has to be 3 plus 4. And now normally we would think without those grouping symbols, we would have to do 5 times 3 first because you multiply before you do any adding or subtracting. But these grouping symbols tell me no, in this case, you must resolve what's within the grouping symbol first. That's step 1. All right. Now, another way that it could look is 8 minus 2 over, this is that fraction bar I was talking about, 1 plus 1. Okay, this fraction bar is the other grouping symbol that you are going to see. And what this means is before I do anything else, I must do what's above and below the fraction bar. Okay, and I'll show you in our examples next how that would look. But what's important right now is understanding, like with my blue pencil, I'm going to write right here, grouping symbols, and then with my red pencil I'm going to mark that's a grouping symbol, nice and bold. I think that's a grouping symbol. Okay, and this is also a grouping symbol. Okay, these are the 2 different kinds of grouping symbols we will be looking at in this lesson. All right? Okay, so let's look at some examples of how we work with those with the next sheet here. And we'll start by writing at the top. Where's my black pencil? Start by writing at the top. Find the value of, come on paper, each expression. Okay, these are making our PEMDAS triangles. But now we're adding the step of grouping symbols. Okay, all right, so find the value of each expression. Well, the first one is going to be 40 minus 3 times 1 plus 4 in parentheses. All right, So my order of operations tells me that first I must take care of anything in grouping symbols. And I have grouping symbols right here, these parentheses, right? That's my first step. So 1 plus 4 becomes 5. And now the parentheses are gone. I took care of what was in the grouping symbols. And I bring down the rest of the expression. Second would be to take care of any exponents. I don't have any. Third would be to look for any multiplication and division. And I do. I see I have 3 times 5 right here. So that's 15. And then I bring down the rest of the expression. And still one step at a time. Right? And now I do any adding or subtracting, because all I have left is a subtraction one, right? And 40 minus 15 is 25. And so that's my final answer. So I would circle that 25. And make my PEMDAS triangle, and there you have it. Right? That's a complete order of operations. Grouping symbols, exponents aren't there, but would be next. Multiply and divide left to right, add, subtract left to right. Got your answer, right? Okay, so let's see. Let's get one that has all of the order of operations steps in it. Okay? So here we go. 5 times 4 minus 1 in parentheses squared minus 10. All right? Okay, my first step is still take care of whatever is in the grouping symbols first. So that 4 minus 1 is 3. Bring down the rest of the expression. Now, when I bring down the rest of the expression, students tend to forget, I haven't dealt with this exponent yet, only the grouping symbol. So don't forget to bring that down as bringing down the rest of the expression. So it would look like that. I dealt with the grouping symbol, and now my next step is to deal with my exponents. So 3 squared, or 3 times 3, is 9. And bring down the rest of the expression. Now I would look for any multiplication and division left to right. I have an operation of multiplication right here. So 5 times 9 is 45. Bring down the rest of the expression. And then I would look for any addition and subtraction. My only operation I have left is a subtraction operation. 45 minus 10 is 35. And so 35 is the value of this expression. Circle it. PEMDAS triangle. All right, you see that? Okay, now we're going to talk about the grouping symbols that involve the fraction bar grouping symbol, all right? Because things start looking a little bit different at this point. Okay, so number 3. Number 3. So I'm going to find the value of, are we in there? Okay, good. The value of this expression. 8 plus 12 over 5 minus 1 equals. Now remember, this fraction bar is a grouping symbol. So I have to take care of whatever is on each side of this grouping symbol first. Even though these are addition and subtraction problems and we think that's the last step. No, this grouping symbol here means I have to take care of what's on either side of the grouping symbol first. So my next step would be 8 plus 12, which is 20. And then 5 minus 1, which is 4. Okay. Now I have that down to a division problem. Okay. I simply have to simplify. 20 divided by 4 is 5. So my final answer on this problem is 5. Now you'll notice when we work with expressions that involve fraction bars, the PEMDAS triangle goes away. Everything goes horizontal. I always miss my PEMDAS triangle. It's always so fun. Everything goes horizontal when you deal with problems with these fraction bar grouping symbols. And you'll see what I mean in the next couple, which will make just a little bit more difficult. So here we go. Number 4. Number 4 is 3 times 5 plus 3 plus 7 over 2 equals. All right, we still have to deal with this grouping symbol first. So I'm just going to move this 3 times 5 over. And now I have, plus, don't forget the operation plus. And now I have 3 plus 7 is 10. And the 2 I just bring over, okay, equals. Now I have 3 times 5 plus, I have to take care of this division problem first, 5. See how that works? Now I have 3 times 5 is 15 plus 5, and 15 plus 5 is 20. Yes, I went a little fast on that, but go back and watch it again if you didn't understand what I was doing. Okay? All right, number 5. Going to add a little bit more into this now. Okay, so number 5. Number 5, we have a problem that says 3 plus 4 over 5 minus 4 plus 8 squared over 2. I know when I start doing these kind of things and think, oh man, that looks too hard. I have no idea. Remember, it's one bite at a time, one PEMDAS step at a time. Nothing's really changed. All right. Okay. So first step is grouping symbols, and I have this grouping symbol here and here. So I'll take care of those. 3 plus 4 is 7 over 5 minus 4 is 1. Right. And then we add to that. Taking care of what's above and below the grouping symbols. This exponent, 8 times 8 is 64. Over this grouping symbol of 2. Now we have some pretty simple math we just have to take care of, okay? This becomes simply 1, a division problem, right? 1 goes into 7 times, plus 2 goes into 64 39 times. 2 goes into 32 times. And so now I have my final operation to work with of 7 plus 32, and that gives me an answer of 39. Final answer. All right? Okay, so I know they got a little bit more tricky, but again, like I said, remember still, just step by step. That's where those PEMDAS steps help us. So let's make a little note at the bottom of this page so we know why things change so much in the way it looks here. And then we'll be done. So let's write. When the fraction bar grouping symbol is used in an expression, you lose the PEMDAS triangle period. Okay, you lose the PEMDAS triangle. Instead, we got everything goes horizontal. All right, everything goes horizontal. So with my pink highlighter, I'm going to make how far do I need to go? This far. Here we go. I'm going to make a little bracket around these three like that, and an arrow that goes to this. So you know, that's what we're talking about, okay? When we use fraction bars in expressions, the PEMDAS triangle goes away. Everything goes horizontal, which makes me kind of sad because I really love my PEMDAS triangle. It looks so nice and neat and organized. All right, so those are the notes for lesson, what are we on? 1.4. Those are the notes for lesson 1.4. So let's talk about the practice problems for 1.4. All right, practice problems for lesson 1.4. Here we go. Find the value of each expression. The first two are ones just like we did in our notes. They have a variety of different operations in them, so a variety of different steps. But the grouping symbols are both parentheses, so you'll have your PEMDAS triangle working here. And then down here, 3, 4, and 5 have fraction bar grouping symbols, so those will be worked out horizontally. All right, so one more look in case you want to pause and work out these problems on your own. Okay, 1 and 2. And then the final ones. Okay, let's see how these work then. All right, so we're going to find the value of these expressions. Number 1. First step in PEMDAS, order of operations, is grouping symbols. So I must take care of what's within these parentheses first. 3 plus 4 is 7. Bring down the rest of the expression. Now I'm looking for exponents. I don't have any. So now I'm looking for multiplying and dividing left to right. And my first operation here is multiplying. So 5 times 7 is 35. Bring down the rest. And 35 minus 8 is 28. So that's my final answer on that one. So I'll circle that. Got my PEMDAS triangle because I worked everything one step at a time. All right, so that's how number 1 works. Now, next one. Again, first step in order of operations is grouping symbols. I have this 1 plus 3. So 3 plus 1, 1 plus 3 is 4. Bring down the rest of the expression. Don't forget, bringing down the rest of the expression means bringing down that 1 plus 3 squared. Okay, so now it's 4 squared. And I've got divide by 2. And I had 30 plus here. All right, so next step, I've taken care of all my grouping symbols. So the next step would be to take care of any exponents. And I've got one right there. 4 times 4 is 16. Bring down the rest of the expression. Now my next step would be any multiplying or dividing. I have an addition one here, but I have a dividing one here. So I've got to take care of that first. 16 divided by 2 is 8. Bring down the rest of the expression. And 30 plus 8 is 38. And that is my answer. All right. Okay, that's how you do problem number 2. All right, now look at these fraction bar ones. First one is pretty simple. I have a grouping symbol of a fraction bar, so I have to take care of what's above and below it first. So 27 plus 6 is 33, and 9 subtract 6 is 3. Now I have a division problem. 33 divided by 3 is 11. So that's my answer. Okay. And number 4. Got to take care of that grouping symbol first. So I've got 6 squared, which means 6 times 6 is 36 over 6 plus 3 is 9. Bring over the rest of the expression. Okay. I've got to deal with this division before I can deal with this subtraction. So now I have 36 divided by 9, which is 4. Bring over the rest of the expression. And then I have 4 minus 2, which is 2. So my answer to this one is 2. And the final one. Try to get a little tricky on this one, but still, your process is the same. Grouping symbols first. So I've got a grouping symbol in there. 5 plus 1 is 6. Bring over the rest of the expression. Still got to take care of what's in this grouping symbol. Okay. 9 squared is 81 over 4 plus 5 is 9. All right. Now any exponents. I've got 36, because 6 squared is 36, minus 81 over 9. Now any multiplication or division. 81 divided by 9 is 9. And now 36 minus 9 is, I'm going to write it down here so it fits, 27. Okay? One step at a time. Okay? All right, that's your practice problems. Go back and pause and look at those again if you had any trouble with any of those. If any of those you didn't get right, go back and listen to me explain it again. Make sure you understand before you move on. All right, the worksheet that goes with this lesson, the first set is simply find the value of the expressions. You should have enough room to, if you're writing small, to work them all out. If there aren't any fraction bar grouping symbols, you'll have your PEMDAS triangle. If not, you'll have to kind of work it vertically out to the side, and maybe sometimes, or I'm sorry, not vertically, horizontally out to the sides, and maybe sometimes horizontally starting from underneath out to the side. But if you work neatly and small, there should be room on the worksheet to do that. We didn't do an example of this word problem here, so let me just say, work it one step at a time at setting up your expression. Really think about what they're doing. We did a problem similar to this when our order of operations were simpler. We've got a little bit more going on here, so you're going to have to really think this one through. All right, and then we've done things similar to this before down at the bottom. It's asking you to put one set of parentheses in each expression to make it right. So if I put parentheses around here, would that make it right? Would I have to do it around here to make it equal 50? You'll have to do a little trial and error to figure out how that works. All right. I can tell you, I've had students get down to these and they trial and error, and they're making a mistake, and nothing they try gets you to these answers, and they think, oh, there must be a typo, which happens in our curriculum from time to time. But I can tell you that all three of these, they are not misprints, and there is a set of parentheses that you can put in each one of these expressions to make the answer true. All right. So that's your worksheet. Last is your exit ticket. And as I always tell you, exit ticket, I don't give you the answer to these. These are just for extra practice, or your teacher may use it for something else. Okay, so that's the end of lesson 1.4. Remember, the only way to learn math is to do math, and mistakes are proof that you're learning.